Welcome everyone to Haven of Horror. As always, I am Subject. I've got Robert, Tina, I don't remember the last name, Wild, and Noah, Glenn. I don't remember his last name either.
Oh no. I'm Johnny Depp.
You want to take two on that?
We're live, I can't.
Well, let's start over. We got time.
Start over. Everybody start over. So we're here for the launch of our new series, despite Noah's constant complaining. We're going to be doing a double feature tonight of the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and I have the best release here, so I'm showing it off.
Hell yeah.
And then its remake, which is Noah's favorite in the series, which I thought was really weird. But he keeps asking me to watch it, and then he complains when I say yes, we'll watch it. I'm getting back and forth whiplash.
You know how you've seen a movie just too many times and you just kind of get sick of it?
No.
Anyway, we're here to watch the original Nightmare on Elm Street and the remake from 2010.
We are. So when did you guys first see this?
Torgo, you go first.
Because I think I have the least interesting story because I didn't watch this until a few years ago, honestly. When I was like going through a lot of the horror blind spots that I had getting more into the genre. This and Friday were like the two big franchises that I actually dove into a few years ago. And it's a solid movie. I really like it.
So real quick before Robert goes, because you're right, that was like the most boring.
I know.
So, because you started with this one, right?
I did.
Okay, so I love that you started Nightmare in order and went backwards in Friday the 13th because you started with Jason X there.
Yeah. Well, and then
where I started with Jason X.
With the franchise as a whole, with Nightmare, I did jump around. I started with the first one, but then I think right after that, I skipped 2 and watched Dream Warriors.
Oh, so the only other good one.
Well, there's also
7. Of the original 6. 7 is its own.
7's its own thing, yeah, and that's probably my favorite. I think I watched that next, or it might have. You might have made me watch 6 at some point before that.
We did watch 6 together, but I don't know if you'd seen 7 already. And that was such a disappointing watch because I loved that one as a teenager, and I still stand by that first half is really good, just on a dumb like fun level, and then about halfway through it just loses all of its energy.
Yeah, that's a movie I'm very curious to watch again because I'll admit I was very sleepy in the second half, so I can't remember much of it.
Sleepy Noah.
Yeah, and Freddy got me too.
Teddy, way to start your remake series with a bang. Yeah, it's the 40th anniversary, and Craven, Freddy vs. Jason is actually my introduction to both Friday and Nightmare. That is the first one I see in theaters. I was in 5th grade and I saw that in theaters and it was awesome. But yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, it's the 40th anniversary. Warner's has put out this wonderful looking steelbook, which is why we decided to start with this. And then we will be spinning a wheel to see what we do next Friday. Because this coming Friday will be the end of our decades of horror. Are you gentlemen ready?
We didn't talk about Roberts. Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm in a similar boat as Noah. This isn't a movie I grow up with or see super early on. It's like 5 or 6 years ago. My friend has a ton of horror movies, and he has the first one on Blu-ray, so I borrow it from him. Watch it for the first time, really like it. And then on my first viewing, I remember being kind of let down by the ending, and I was like, oh no, am I going to be that guy who likes this classic film but doesn't like it? Only to find out that that's widely the general opinion.
Yeah.
Is that this movie doesn't quite stick the landing, so I'm not alone on there. We'll get to it when we get to it. But then I start going through them. I'm pretty sure I start with stuff like the Friday movies before this. I definitely hadn't seen all of them by that point, but I had gotten into the Friday movies first, of course, Evil Dead and tons of other things. So this is another like just one of the big ones I finally got to 5 or 6 years ago and really liked it. And then got the Blu-rays, the Blu-ray set, and went through the whole series. I guess maybe 3 years ago. So I've seen all of these now. This one stands out. This is a classic.
Making me feel old. So I see
Sorry.
these as a teenager on my dad's VHS set that I bought him for like Father's Day or Christmas. Robert, do you know the one I'm talking about where like they all come together and it's like a picture of Freddy on the side?
Yes, that I
I've
want
seen
that
that too,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so that is how I watched them. The first one, I was just kind of in that transition from like schlock, like Jason X to like real horror, like the first one. The first one legitimately scared me, and I had to shut it off during the boiler room scene towards, I think it's towards the middle. But then I like the 3 and 6. 4 and 5 are watchable, but I can't separate them.
Same.
And then but my sister lost New Nightmare, so I didn't see that for a long time after. But no, I first see these on VHS. And Freddy has never been my favorite. He'd make a top 5 killers for me, probably. But the problem with the Nightmare series is for every good one, 1, 3, 7, you get a 2 or a 4 or 5 that are either bad, boring, or bland.
Yeah.
And we get a remake.
Yeah,
Which
which
we'll
I saw in
discuss later.
theaters.
Yeah, not to get too sidetracked on that, but I want to say the first time I ever even hear about Freddy Krueger is when that remake's coming out, and I see trailers for it. I don't go see it. I was definitely too young and not really into the horror genre yet. But it's the same with Friday the 13th, and I remember Halloween 2 specifically, seeing the trailers for that, and that was the first time I had ever heard of Michael Myers. And I was like, Halloween 2, like, what is this? What was Halloween 1? And this is like 2009 for the Rob Zombie one. So
That
yeah,
was
all
the
those
first rated R
Platinum
movie I
Dune.
could go see by myself.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's all those Platinum Dunes remakes
It
when I
wasn't.
start hearing about these characters. So
We'll
yeah,
get back
I
to
don't
the
grow
chat
up
here
with
in a
Freddy.
moment. Yeah, see, and that's crazy because you're not that much younger than me.
I was
Which
also
is
scared
wild.
very easily as a tiny child. And this was just not my genre.
No, that's fair.
But I would say,
And
obviously,
to be fair,
you're
I
an
have that up until 13 or 14. The last movie that I remember seeing that scared me was Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. And I mean, to the point, even after I got over that, I had to fast forward to the beginning because I had put like this mental block that I could not handle that zombie girl.
Yeah, and obviously, you're an exception. Most people aren't watching movies like RoboCop 2 when they're 4 years old. But I would say this holds up as a good, like, kind of gateway horror movie for, again, I'm not saying this is generally appropriate for children. It depends on the kid. But, if you're like 12 or 13 and you're starting to watch R-rated movies, this is a good one to start with. It can still hold up as being kind of creepy.
There's been 2 gory scenes.
It's like the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
And like I said, if you're 13 years old, like that can still be kind of scary. That can leave an impact without being, traumatizing.
So anyway, we'll talk more about this as we go.
Yeah,
it's chat's pretty active, and I want to get to that as well. Yes, I have the timer up. Thank you, Robert. In 3, 2, 1.
Wait. I'm not ready.
You son of a bitch.
Ready.
That was a test. Okay.
Wait,
let's do this.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm ready. We're good.
We're good.
In 3, 2, 1, play. The old New Line Cinema logo. Okay, Screen Factory really needs to get on making a box set of all the Nightmare movies, says Draven. I agree.
Agreed.
Teddy, what sucks is people use it as proof that no one can play Freddy, which I don't agree. It's a tough role to do, but I don't think it's impossible. I also agree half-heartedly. Part of me agrees. Part of me doesn't really care to see a recasted Freddy. I'm torn. Like, I'd have to see it first.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Jackie Earle Haley's the problem with that movie. The movie's problem is its script. I think
I
Friday the
agree.
13th remake
That's
is the
the
better
bigger
remakes of
problem.
this era. No, it absolutely is. That
I
and
agree.
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Although I watched the original Amityville Horror, and that remake from 2005 is closer than I thought.
I do like this weird small aspect ratio we do with this opening with Freddy building the glove. It's so dirty and grimy. It's immediately iconic.
Yeah, and he looks a lot dirtier and grimier here than he will in the rest of the series. And then
Yes.
because like by 6, you can't even tell that to be burn victim makeup. The MTV era happened, folks.
So, do you guys agree with me that when I think of 80s horror, the first thing I think of is Freddy Krueger? I think of Freddy Krueger as the face of 80s horror. Not to say that I think this is the best 80s horror movie. I think John Carpenter's The Thing or Evil Dead 2 are better movies. But when I think of just the decade of 80s horror into just one thing, I think of Freddy Krueger.
So interestingly enough, even though I prefer Freddy, when I think 80s horror, I actually think Jason.
I do too. Because you got to remember, Jason was already on top of the box office by the time this comes out.
That's true. I think where I disagree a little though is it takes a few movies to get to what we think of as Jason, whereas we just nail this right out the gate with like this is what.
But see, I don't even think that's true. The Freddy that everyone thinks of is Part 3 Freddy.
That's fair, but he still cracks some jokes in this. He's not as jokey as Part 3, but I still think of this.
So he is Freddy. A little jokey here, but 3 is where you get the balance between this guy's scary, but he's also dropping one line. It's like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
It's before they went too far with it.
Yeah, what you mean? What you think doing Wicked Witch of the West impersonations is too far?
I mean, I guess it could be funny for a comedy sketch, not a movie.
Penny, for me personally, I'm just not a believer in only this actor can play this role. I know it's an unpopular opinion in fandom. I just think it's a case-by-case basis, right? Like, I could be won over on somebody else playing Freddy, because I don't think that Jackie Earle Haley is the problem with that film. But on the flip side of that, to compare this to another age property, and Robert, you and I have talked about this to death, I resist recasting Ash. That is my hard limit. Because the difference,
we're on the same page on that.
The difference, Teddy, is I think someone like Batman or Black Panther can always be recast because those characters aren't created with that actor. These characters are created with this actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Freddy's daddy's just a Looney Tunes character. It's fine. It's fine. That's Robert's favorite.
Oh God.
Oh, Robert, that's your favorite?
No. Yeah, I'm usually someone where if you have an iconic performance, you have an iconic movie that starts as a movie that isn't based on a book or something, I'm usually kind of hesitant or resist the idea of that being remade or recast. I'm not consistent with it. I have exceptions. And the thing with Freddy, as great as Robert Englund is and as difficult as it would be to top him, if you're going to say he's in the same camp as like the classic Universal monsters of your Draculas and your Frankensteins, like those are proof that you can do updates and new interpretations that actually work, that people like. Yes, obviously Dracula is based on a book that predates that movie, but Bela
Lugosi's knows the movie version.
That's what people think of as Dracula more than the book version, and every version adaptation after that is either trying to replicate that or do the polar opposite. And I think theoretically someone like Freddy Krueger could be the same way if you just get the right actor with the right take on the material that puts their own spin on it. I think it can be done. I just don't think it has been done.
And don't get me wrong. I'm trepidatious before I outright no on this on Freddy, because I do think with the right vision, with today's technology, you can make something special.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue with this movie is that the potential of the gimmick, the dreams, are held back by how small this movie's budget is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp? I don't think that's necessarily a problem with this movie. It's just something that the sequels could expand upon because they had bigger budgets.
And then, in my opinion, when you get to the movies with the biggest budgets in the series, like Freddy versus Jason or the remake, my opinion, those are the ones with the worst effects because they go all in on CGI. It doesn't look good.
Well, and that's also that period, that late period, early period of bad CGI. 3 is kind of the best, where it starts to reach that potential of like these fantastical, like Worm Freddy that looks good.
Yeah, that looks incredible.
But you can always take it higher. The New Nightmare has my favorite look with the trench coat.
Oh, I like that look too.
It's fine. That I don't know. When I think of Freddy, that's the last thing I think of. And just because it's in my brain, it's not Freddy. You know what I mean? Like it's a separate thing.
Yeah.
I think very much of part 3.
Yeah, part 5 and 6 have.
Part
3 is iconic.
Definitive. Yeah.
And 5 and 6 definitely have the worst makeup.
What the fuck does he have on that tape? I've wondered this for like 10 years.
I don't know, but it's a fun game.
Death audio. But I always categorize this movie with like Psycho and then later Scream, where they introduce a character that you think is going to be the main character at first, and then they go a completely different direction with it and kill that character off. Spoilers if you're watching this for the first time for some reason.
And we'll get to it, but the remake like doubles down on that to the point that I think it's harmful to the actual protagonist.
I agree. Because we're gonna resist talking about the remake too much.
At the end of the day, I like the fake protagonist more than the actual protagonist.
And in this movie, it's all real. It's very natural. We're introduced to Tina. She's our initial Eisen character, and then we're introduced to her group of friends through her. It's all very organic. The pacing is perfect.
And it's not a twist that I see done a lot in modern movies, I think, because maybe they don't want to get compared to something like this or Psycho.
Terrifier is probably the last thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, the first half you have Discount Sidney Prescott.
Right.
Well, and the Friday remake does that, but that's more of like the first 20 minutes is its own movie.
That's just kind of like a whole tribute to the series. So they're just doing every era.
Oh, I hope we land on that one.
But I will say right off the bat, I think Johnny Depp is one of the best actors in this movie. You can immediately tell this guy is just very natural and charismatic and talented.
They all have one. Halloween has Jamie Lee Curtis. This has Kevin Johnny
Friday
Depp.
Kevin Bacon.
And Friday has Kevin Bacon. So speaking of Kevin Bacon, sorry, real quick. Robert Englund once said that was his pick to replace him as Freddy. I kind of want to see that.
I don't dislike that choice. He's a great actor with a ton of range.
Do you think he can play him now, though? Or would you want someone younger?
Freddy doesn't have to be a young... It would depend on how many sequels you wanted.
Not like young, but yeah.
But like Robert Englund's like, middle-aged.
If you get a good stunt double, it should be fine.
Yeah. And there's a rumor or kind of a myth that David Warner was originally cast as Freddy before Robert Englund. I've never seen this confirmed or actually have any facts to back it up. I think it's an interesting idea.
Part 2?
No, because part 2 they're originally using a stunt guy, and then someone says, "Oh, maybe we should get actual Freddy back and not just use a stunt guy." So
real quick, we have somebody in the chat. BJ, I need more real nightmares from Krueger. It used to show up in my dreams regularly.
That's too bad.
They gotta start making movies again.
I don't think I've ever had an actual bad dream that Freddy
Elm
Krueger
Street
appeared in. Yeah, I don't think that's
Is that the
ever
like
actually-
Walmart version of this, Robert? Instead of a Nightmare on Elm Street, it's a bad dream on Elm Street.
That's the we have a Nightmare on Elm Street at home version.
It pains me to say this because I do like her, but Heather Langenkamp is kind of the worst actress in this movie, other than maybe
I
the mom.
disagree. I was gonna say I think the mom's worse.
The mom's probably worse. She's not bad in this movie, but I think she gets better as with each.
She's really
appearance
good
she
at
has,
3.
when she becomes a more experienced actor.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I don't think Heather Langenkamp's very good in this, particularly with the dialogue. But to give her credit, what she does bring is a lot of energy and effort and passion into the role, especially into the back half of the movie. That it's not. This is not a bland performance. It's not a wooden performance. I just don't think she's always convincing in the dialogue scenes, but there is a lot of effort and energy that I really respect, that I think helps make the character likable and endearing. And on the page, I really like this character. Like this is an easy top 10.
I think she's
maybe
better
top
when
5 Final Girl.
I think she's better when she gets into Final Girl mode. I just don't think she knows how to play a regular high school student.
Which is funny because she's much younger than we typically high schoolers back in the day, because she is like 19 or 20, so pretty close to high school
that really
age.
cringy, like I look like I'm 20 or
Like
whatever.
20. It's like, yes, because you are 20. But you know,
BJ,
she has actual acne. Like
BJ says at
looks
least
young.
one more with Robert. He's too old at this point, unless you're going to do an animated movie.
Yeah, no, I just want him to voice the character in something.
Also, can we just give props that this and 3, I think, are the only ones without like elongated like resurrection excuses for Freddy. He's just there.
Yeah. I think
Draven says, I think they bring up David Warner in the Never Sleep Again documentary. I've only seen that once. It's a good documentary though. It's also like 4.5 hours.
What? Whoa! I didn't know that.
No, so Friday and Nightmare both get one, and they're super long. The Friday one is like 6 hours.
They're really comprehensive.
Yeah, and they go through all the films. Although
Might
I
have to
don't
watch this
think
sometime.
the Nightmare one brings up the remake in much, because I don't think that had come out yet, but I could be wrong.
And they don't want to talk about it. Let's not talk about that.
I would have loved to hear Wes Craven's thoughts on that remake.
If it's anything like the John Carpenter thoughts on the new Halloween movies.
I don't
There's
think
like no comment.
all love in the world to Wes Craven, and like he's one of my favorite filmmakers. He was a bit up his own ass with some of his movies.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know enough about
all
him.
I know is with the remake, nobody consulted him or called him or tried to talk to him about it.
It shows.
Oh, Draven says they even covered the TV show. And that's the cool thing, is both of those documentaries, the Friday one and the Nightmare one, covered the TV shows. Even though the Friday show has nothing to do with the movies. And there's one of the greatest simple effects of all time.
It's so good.
Remember
My
when
favorite.
they did that in the remake?
Well, it's not.
We'll get to
it. It's crazy though. Seriously, how that effect holds up to this day. Like, I think it still looks good.
I love the last bit, like when he goes back and like his head tilts up and you get that quick glimpse of like his nose and his brow. Like, it looks so good.
Yeah.
Also, I am happy to report so far this transfer looks excellent.
I need to pick that up.
They
gotta
do
put
3,
out
you bastards.
all of them. Do all of them in 4K.
I mean,
Can you imagine Freddy's dead in 4K?
Oh God, yeah.
But
To
just to
mention,
have it.
to go back to an earlier comment in the live chat, I agree that the series deserves like the real Scream box, box set treatment that Friday got, or Scream Factory,
Scream
whatever.
Scream box is a different thing.
Scream box is another thing. That's another thing. No, I agree that it deserves that epic box set treatment. I don't know if I'd get it. I'm pretty happy with these. I'm kind of meh on most of these movies. Like, I'd upgrade 3 to 4K for sure, maybe do Nightmare, but I'm kind of happy with what I got.
And I don't have that. This is the only one I have on Blu-ray of any kind. Because the last time I saw that one, it was like $70. It's like fuck.
Oh
no.
god.
Oh geez.
Yeah, I got this for like 20.
And I've heard that's a real cheap put together set.
It is. It's fine.
I'll fight you, Robert, because you know what the Scream Factory set would be worth it for? Think of all the bonus features you'd get.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, but A, this already has a decent amount of bonus features, and B, you already have the Never Sleep Again documentary that's like 4.5 hours long.
So, I don't know if you guys know about this, but in that Never Sleep Alone documentary, I do remember this. This was filmed on location, and they got the cops called on them because people woke up to see a guy with really long arms chasing a girl down the alley.
Oh wow.
I love how just cruel he is in this one. And the other ones,
Yeah.
he's more playful, cruel. No, this one he's just mean.
He's a bit more brutal, which they never bring back until 7, I think.
Yeah, like he just chops his finger off. Why? Because he can.
And I will say also kind of a difference, though it shifts throughout the film. It's for a lot of these earlier sequences, it's more of Robert Englund's normal voice. Like they haven't done a lot of the modulation yet, and
Yeah.
this might be a hot take. Yeah, I love the skeleton face. This might be a hot take. I kind of I find his just normal, kind of higher pitched Freddy voice creepier than the traditional deep voice. Just like the laughing he does in this.
It might
Like,
be creepier, but it sounds wrong to me. I've seen 3 too many times.
I can't imagine that voice saying "Welcome to prime time," bitch.
Yeah.
Welcome to prime time, bitch. But he does still. We do get the deep voice sometimes in this movie, like the "I'm your boyfriend now."
But he also
Like,
has
we
a
do
lot
get
less dialogue in this than he will in like 3. Real quick, Craven, speaking of which, I don't think Freddy's Nightmares has ever gotten a DVD release. I don't know about that, but I do know one of the big launching points of that Screenbox service that Robert mentioned on accident was that they had all of Freddy's Nightmares.
Cool, and you could probably watch them on YouTube or something in shitty quality. But
I do want to watch
they're
it at
out
some point. James says he's got the DVD set from '99, but it's missing the bonus disc.
Oh,
I think I'm pickier than Robert. I need like a quality set if I'm gonna buy.
But we just talked over the best kill in the movie. It still think holds up great. Like that sequence
It is not
amazing.
the best kill in the movie. Fuck you.
We're gonna get into.
I'm not gonna agree.
You think it's better than the bed?
No, this one I think this is the best one.
Oh, I think the Johnny Depp bed is way better.
I think that's better too.
Oh, okay.
You're outnumbered.
You're in a minority on this. Okay. Yeah. No. The way they built that set, like it's a spinning set with her crawling around and then she's on wires. Like I think that it's very visceral. It's very scary. I think it's awesome.
I mean, it's a great kill, but
I just find it a lot more brutal and visceral. The Johnny Depp one's more funny and like, whoa. It goes for more of a whoa factor. Yeah. But this, I think, is a lot more intense.
So, do you know about the Johnny Depp one, though? Because that's using that same set.
Yeah.
And there was a mishap where when they were turning it, and the whole room flooded with that fake blood, and they about killed all of themselves.
Oh, my God.
And here we have John Saxon.
Which will tie into Draven. It's funny how John Saxon plays the exact same role in this and Black Christmas. He played this role a lot. He's in an Argento movie that I watched recently, and he's also a cop in that. What was it? No, was that movie with the monkey?
Phenomena?
Yeah, was that Phenomena?
I don't remember him being in that, but I can look it up.
Yeah, he in his later years gets cast in a lot of dad roles or cop roles.
And he would play this role 3 times. Well,
kind of, yeah.
2 and then
2.5.
Nightmare. New Nightmare.
I think maybe John, you were thinking of Tenebrae. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes, Tenebrae, which is a great movie.
Yeah, I've
I don't
yet to
remember
see
anything
that.
about it at this point. My brain is like fried, but I remember I loved it. That is the cleanest looking footage I've ever seen on an 80s TV. Especially at that size. And here we have one of the worst moms in all of cinematic history.
All right,
Maybe
who's
not the
worse?
worst.
Who's worse? This mom or the Terrifier 2 mom?
This mom.
That's true. The
This mom takes
Terrifier 2
active
mom.
steps to put her daughter in harm's way by locking her in the house. Arguably, she's the one that gets Glenn killed.
And the Terrifier 2 mom also never burned anyone alive.
True. That we know of.
True.
We don't know what they did.
know.
Hey, we don't know what she did to her husband. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's true. I will say, I think the mom in this and the mom in that are of about equal acting caliber.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not actually a problem for me. It's just kind of fun. It doesn't take me out.
It doesn't ruin either for me, but I do find that I'm more lax on an 80s slasher. Because like that's the expectation, right? Some bad acting, some good kills, a killer that you're invested in. And maybe it's also just because I grew up with that, you know, like. Teddy says, I can't believe that in the first Nightmare film, the killer is actually Freddy's mother. Oh, that's a different movie.
Oh.
Yeah, this movie is like that weird middle ground where it's like kind of a studio film, but also very low budget. It has a lot of inexperienced work people are working on. But then you have Wes Craven directing it, who has directed movies before. It's like this weird mix. It's not like Friday the 13th, which was made for $2 and it's like almost everybody's first movie.
But I mean, that also had a major studio backing it.
That's
I just think people have forgotten what studio movie means. Like, BJ, the beginning of part 1 and the end of New Nightmare is what I avoid watching the most. Part 2 is the most terrifying to me. My favorite. I'm in the minority. I think part 2 is terrible.
I like 2. I think it's got some
I don't
scary
think it's
moments.
terrible, but it's one of the weaker entries.
I don't understand how your takeaway from this movie is, what if we put Freddy in the real world? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah,
No.
I don't care about that at all.
I think the premise of 2 is scarier than this one, though. Of like somebody is controlling you when you're sleepwalking. I think that was a good twist on the gimmick. Something different.
The movie's also really unfortunate when you think about it for a minute.
No, there's plenty of dated things about it that don't work, but I also
That's
get
more
it's
funny
become a
than
cult favorite.
Anything.
It was at least more interesting than 4 and 5, from what I remember.
But 4 has Robert keeps telling me it's 4, and I'm taking his word on it. Because I can't remember between 4 and 5.
Yeah,
has one of the greatest kills in the entire franchise, though.
Yeah, 4 has a couple good kills and a great climax.
Do you remember the cockroach kill?
Oh yeah, that's 4.
Yeah, apparently that's what Robert tells me.
Which one has the pizza?
Robert?
That's 4.
Okay.
Is that also 4?
God, what happened in 5?
Yeah, I guess 5 is the worst out of the 2 then. I don't remember anything about it.
It is more forgettable. That's the one where Alice is pregnant. That's the dream child one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got a really neat
the only thing I
climax.
remember is I do remember the ending of that because it's insane.
It is. 5 also has the very infamous Super Freddy scene.
Yeah.
It's that one. The thing with 5, and I know I'm in the minority in this one, I prefer 5 over 4 just because I at least find it a little bit more interesting because it's just weirder. And why I'm not a big fan of 4, even though I know that's a fan favorite, is by the time we get to 4, I'm sick of the formula. It's another group of teens that have to convince people that Freddy's real, and it's just the same thing over and over again. And we kill off all the Dream Warriors in the first 10 minutes, and I hate that.
I mean, that part does suck. But Robert, okay, so I have to ask, just because I'm curious. You're sick of the formula of Nightmare on Elm Street, but you're a Friday the 13th fan.
Because those aren't weighed down by exposition and lore and obnoxious characters. Those are much more, for me, just kind of breezy, simple watches, for the most part.
Okay.
With Nightmare by part 4, I'm like, okay, now I'm tired of this formula.
That's fair.
Because these movies get a lot more bogged down in exposition than the Friday movies do.
And which is funny because when you think about it, they don't have their continuity sorted out any better than Friday does. Teddy, I like Nightmare 2, Ducks and Covers. Is what it is. That is the least interesting premise you could do for a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Tom Atkins asks, Nightmare 2 might be my favorite Freddy.
He's great in it. It's the last you get of really dark, scary Freddy.
Yeah, but I like a killer that enjoys what he's doing. Come on.
He doesn't too. But he's scary. He's still dark.
Yeah, but how many times are you going to see his fingers turn into needles and you go, what a ride.
Yeah, then part 3's fun.
It's more fun than 2. It's just a fact, folks.
Dana, where the hell is the
3's great.
Oh, wait, that's a different movie.
Where the hell's Corkscrew?
So I think so this is just a minor thing that I remember from the others is I think we'll see him shirtless in another movie and his burns go all the way down. So it's really funny that here he's just like a normal dude from the neck down.
Yeah. What a glaring continuity mistake, Wes.
The sweater.
He didn't come back. It's fine.
It's a fire resistant sweater. The Freddy guy thinks it.
It really only his face and hands got burned.
So I remember as a kid, I found this website that kept track of the slasher movie killers kills, and Freddy has the least because he has one of the shorter franchises. Say what you will, but New Line just didn't keep bringing him back and back. Freddy's Dead was the final nightmare in that continuity. But and this was before any of them came back, in the late 2000s remakes. It was funny to me that Jason had the most, and because I was thinking about this, Jason's arguably not in 3 of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and he still had the highest body count.
Well, that's just because he had more movies, like you said. He got to 10. Freddy only got to 6.
But if you take 3 off, because he's not in 1, he's not in 5, and you can argue for 9. That's only 7 movies.
Oh, true, yeah.
Well, Jason's all about the quick kills, Freddy, and why I get the appeal of this franchise is it's all about the set pieces. We really take our time with Tina's death, and especially in the sequels with these big elaborate sequences. Freddy doesn't rack up the quick kills as much as Jason does.
Yeah, because he's not in for the kills, especially by Thor. And Freddy vs. Jason will solidify this: is he wants them to be afraid. Which is why it made me laugh when everybody was pissed about the way Chapter 2 ends. They do the same thing that this movie does. They beat him by not being afraid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid anymore. Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the few movies that does that trope that I'm fine with.
I mean, I'm not defending it, Chapter 2. I've always said, at a book level, King should have just made that about the kids part and cut it off there, because even in the book stuff, the adults suck.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So, Robert, we disagree with the best kill is. Can we agree that the lamest kill is Rod here?
Yes.
Why did Freddy stage it like a suicide or an unaliving himself?
I think can't say that word. I think it's to mess with Nancy. It kind of draws that out because everyone thinks that she's crazy. people aren't believing her. I think it works. It becomes more of a problem with the sequels when you have hundreds of dead kids and parents still aren't taking this seriously.
Well, that's why I can't take, like, I know people complain, but I can't take Freddy versus Jason as continuity because there suddenly everybody believes and like treat it like a plague. And how does that fit in with part
Yeah,
6? Where all the
that's
kids
all
are
the
dead?
camera.
No, if there's anything I respect 6 for, is that's the greatest status quo for a slasher movie that I've ever seen. He killed all of his victims. Now he wants more. Tom Atkins, at least we had Bill Hader as Richie. He's great. That casting was not the problem with that movie.
No, the casting in part 2 is actually pretty good for everyone except like the fat kid. And he's okay.
I thought it was fun.
He's just okay.
But back to this movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, it's a classic. I think it's great, and like you said, there's just a lot with this premise you could do with another movie. Because at its core, what you have are teenagers where there's something wrong with them. They're in danger, and their parents aren't listening to them. Go. Like, there's so many different ways you could explore that. That you get to varying degrees in the sequels, and the remake tries some things. But it's like this premise has a lot of potential, and with just the dream gimmick, you know, this isn't something like Michael Myers where there's only so much you can do with that. This has infinite possibilities with what you can do visually, and you know, it's
no, it's kind of here's the famous shot,
the iconic shot, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funnier knowing how they do that because there really is just a guy up there standing.
Yeah, the main special effects.
That's so awkward.
It's between her legs.
So I can't remember. Is that
what
CGI?
If you think she is 6?
Is that CGI in the remake? I can't remember.
That I don't think is CGI.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think the hand is, but when she gets pulled into the tub, it probably is.
Well, they don't do that in the remake. We'll get to it.
Oh, did they not? Okay.
But no, something that people don't talk about is just because we had that, you know, glut of 80s slashers, which give them to me all day. This is kind of the most genius of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's the only one that isn't a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I started this saying that this is what I think of when I think of 80s horror, because the slashers are very specific to the early 80s, and obviously Jason is iconic. I agree with you guys on that. But I think what I was talking about more with this movie is just the music, the tone, the fashion, just stylistically. Like, this is the most 80s of those to me. And then this spawns stuff like Hellraiser and Child's Play and all sorts of other things.
But the thing is, Robert, like, obviously, you know, it's what you think. But when you ask somebody what you think of slashers, they're going to say it's a guy in a mask with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue people are going to think more of Michael Myers or Jason for 80s than they are Freddy, even though people love Freddy. Because he is not in the mold of 80s horror.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize if I mispronounced this. Yaki Flores, welcome in. Thanks for the emojis.
Hey, what's she watching?
Remember The Evil Dead?
I remember The Evil Dead.
And this, of course, started a kind of war between them.
Kind of like
Evil Dead starts that.
A game of tag.
Yeah, because
in form.
In The Evil Dead, there is that torn up the Hills of Eyes poster.
Yes, which is sorry, that's where it starts, right? Do you know why Raimi does that?
I don't remember what
because
the
in
motivation
the Hills
was.
Have Eyes, there is like a torn up Jaws poster or a reference to Jaws.
Okay, that's what's
And Raimi
Okay.
put in The Hills Have Eyes.
And now, why that guy in that cabin has the Hills Have Eyes poster, I don't know. It's just
Fine.
funny. So, and then we get the Evil Dead, on the TV in this movie, and then in Evil Dead 2, you see Freddy's glove, in the basement.
Does Wes ever respond to that?
I don't remember.
You think I know? I watched all of his movies last year.
You should be the expert.
I know that they brought the glove back for after Evil Dead. It's still there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Professor Nobi is just a big Wes Craven fan.
Oh, so we just got the I look 20 years old line. So I have many questions. First off, she's in high school. She can't be, what, 15, 16, maybe 18?
Well, she's supposed to be 16 or 17. That's how I always talk.
Do 16-year-olds often go, man, I look 20?
Yeah, that's a weird choice of number, but the idea is that, like, she's not getting sleep and it is looking awful. Like, she's looking older than she actually is, which will become a literal thing when her hair starts to change color.
I love the gray streak.
Sure.
I wish more slashers would do something with that.
Sure.
Tom Atkins, do you prefer this or the first Scream? I rated the first Scream higher just because I think that is a masterpiece at what it's doing. But I will always prefer the sincere over the satire. So I think at the end of the day, even though I think Scream is a better film, mostly because its ending isn't embarrassing,
Yeah.
I prefer this just because it is a sincere, like, just honest to God 80s slasher.
Yeah, I love Scream. That's one of my favorites. So yeah, I'd put that over this. But I do like this a lot. It's a lot of fun.
You fucking heathen.
And I mean, some things do meta better than others, and the first Scream is one of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I will say Scream is better than New Nightmare, and you can fight me on that.
I mean,
Yeah,
I love New Nightmare, but
I won't fight you on that. Yeah. I don't know if many people would fight you on that, actually.
Like, I like New Nightmare, but I think it gets really lost at the end of, like, what it's actually trying to say.
Yeah,
well,
fair.
it's just the tradition of most of these movies having bad endings. It fits right in.
The only one that has a good ending is 3.
Yeah.
The good-ish. There's one major problem I have with that ending.
Oh, really?
It's when Ghost John Saxon shows up to Nancy in a bad effect, and she thinks she's awake for some reason. And dies in a really stupid way. No, that's a problem because that's Nancy's death. I'm allowed to be upset about that.
I've never liked how Nancy goes out in that.
But everything else in that ending is great.
She doesn't even question it.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a betrayal of the character. Everything else is great. 3 is great.
Man.
Just should have left her alive.
Yeah, or they could have done what their original plan was, which was to bring Nancy back in the 4th one as a ghost, and she to be like the angel, and Freddy would be the devil to the characters. Like, Ghost Nancy could have been fun.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw a video reviewing a comic that follows whatever the 4 and 5 girl's name is, and it goes with that premise.
Wait, so the original idea was Nancy was supposed to be a Force ghost?
Yeah. I mean, Freddy's a ghost. I don't know.
Okay, that's
no.
kind of weird.
The movie that we got starts with a dog peeing fire. Like,
that's true.
No,
and that resurrects Freddy.
I'm just thinking it's just Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the same effect. Just sits on a log. Same thing.
Okay. Freddy just
so is she asleep
T-1000
right now?
through the bars.
Yeah, she's asleep, and for some reason she's seeing what's happening to Rod, but I think it's fine.
Can he not feel the sheets like wrapping around his throat?
Well, he's asleep too. I don't think we've gotten to that bit yet.
Okay, so Robert, if you were asleep and I just came in your room and started wrapping a sheet around your neck, you're not gonna wake up?
I don't know. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but you'd be surprised what people can sleep
That's
through.
true.
Like, Jesus Christ. uh, I don't know.
I don't. I think it's just because he never does anything like this again. So like simple and
Mhm.
kind of blame.
I think my justification of it is it's just to fuck with Nancy to make people think that, oh, she's just crazy. Like, obviously that guy killed Tina. Obviously he then killed himself. It's just to draw it out,
This is
just to draw out the
gross.
Ugh.
misery. Nancy, just don't step in the obvious markers
So,
with the gooey stuff.
something
That's the
that's
thing
funny
that you
to
should
me,
be afraid of as a kid is quicksand stairs.
books. You know, I've never lived in a house with a second story.
Oh, really?
Neither have I.
Okay.
You know what's funny though? Out of all the things that became iconic for this franchise, I didn't think it would be the fucking house, but it keeps
Yeah,
coming back.
by part 3, it's just the Elm Street house for some reason, and I think by 4 or 5, it's like, oh, this used to be Freddy's house, and you're like, no, it wasn't. It was Nancy's. What are we doing?
No, and then by
And the
6,
house
he's
is in
like, I've
2.
always had a thing for the horrors in this house. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So the iconic locations in this series, it's the house and the boiler room, and that's
Yep.
it.
And the boiler room at least makes sense. That's Freddy's, hideout.
That's where
his-
he's killed.
That's his home base. That's his bat
Why
cave.
does the house stick around?
Yeah.
That's a cool looking house.
Well, and it's
Yeah,
weirder
it's a
because then
house.
in 2, the guy moves in here and like Nancy's journal is here, and it kind of acts like she either went insane or died.
Which,
Um,
to be fair, you could do anything after the end of this movie because I don't know what's happening.
but then in 3, she's fine and a
Yeah,
therapist.
in 3, she's a working
No, you can tell 3 was like,
working
just,
lady.
just forget 2. We know nobody liked it.
That's why it works as such a sequel to this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more. I would kind of compare it to like Rises is more of a sequel to Begins than to The Dark Knight.
Sure. And no, to get back to your question earlier about the original plans for Ghost Nancy, someone feel free to correct me if this is incorrect. But what I've heard is that the ending of 3, when you get that final shot of like the popsicle stick Elm Street house, when like the light turns on and that's the final shot of that movie, that was supposed to signify Nancy's return, not Freddy's.
Oh, okay.
And then if they just dropped that for so.
Everyone's favorite film director, Rennie Harlan, was like, "No, I'm gonna make a dog pee fire."
And again, 4
Hey,
has some good
don't-
sequences and has some good visuals, but I don't like that movie very much.
John, are you really gonna insult the auteur who made Die Hard 2?
Yes,
Die
fuck
Harder.
Die Hard 2.
Die Harder?
Noah's over here like, that's my favorite Die Hard movie.
Yeah,
You
just
should
as
watch
much
it.
as
It's actually
Nightmare.
really good.
That's my favorite Die Hard movie, and then Nightmare 2010 is my favorite Nightmare movie.
We have this on camera.
We have it on camera. I'm flipping that motherfucker.
You just upload it as a short.
Yeah,
No context.
proof that Noah's a fraud.
Oh no. Send all your hate comments to me.
I'll link his YouTube channel in the description. Robert, we're going to need you to sign up for a letterbox so we can start putting in the video descriptions. So this will be my 70th horror film for the month.
Nice.
Wait for the month?
Yeah.
You okay, John?
No.
I don't think he is.
I watched that
70
movie
movies.
False Positive yesterday on Hulu. That shit
Yeah.
sucked.
Are you getting through a lot of bad movies this month, or has it been like 50-50?
Here, it's kind of been 50-50, but I'll send you my list because I keep track of everything.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look. Live on stream. Yeah, you guys are right. I think this is probably the lamest death in the movie.
It is, but it's the first.
I mean, to be fair, there's 3 big kills, and 2 of them are awesome.
Yeah.
But no, like, this is one of the lamest in the franchise. Like, even shit that's kind of stupid, like Super Freddy, at least it, like, looks creative, and...
Yeah.
There you go, Noah.
Okay.
And here we have the first of many, many funeral scenes in this franchise. Get used to this. Again, this is why I keep saying, when we get to part 4, I'm like, oh my god, I'm sick of this already. It's the same.
Well, but Robert, we know where they're going. They're going to kill he's going to kill all of the teenagers. And Roseanne Barr is going to lose her mind in the 6th movie.
John, for a second, I thought that this was a ranked list, so I was surprised that Salem's Lot and Velma were so high.
It said in the description, not a ranked list.
And then I was like, oh, this can't be a rank list, can it? And then I read that.
Also, this is the only movie where they call him Fred Krueger, and it sounds wrong to me.
That does sound so wrong, yeah. He's Freddy.
I just need you guys to know that The Omen 4 is really boring for the last 5 minutes where it gets insane.
Okay.
So
I only care about watching the 3rd one. Or is Sam Neill also in 4, or is he just in 3?
No, he's just in 3.
Okay.
4 is a made-for-TV movie. They could not afford Sam Neill.
Okay, I didn't know it was made for TV.
No, you should watch 2, though. It is actually pretty good.
Okay.
The Omen 4 is the Karate Kid, the next generation of that franchise, and I will not explain that reference. You either get it or you don't.
I kind of get it.
No, I would not recommend 4, but I have to tell you this. Okay, so because 4 is kind of just a shitty remake of the first movie, but this time it's Damien's daughter. But the twist at the end is find out that she's been holding the embryo of her twin brother inside her since she was born. And this cult that wants to bring about the Antichrist waited until she was old enough to have it transplanted out of her and into her adoptive mom, so that her adoptive mom could give birth to her twin brother, who is the Antichrist.
Of course.
Wait, why is Damien not the Antichrist all of a sudden? Or we're going to get too much of a tangent into that.
So, slight, do you care about spoilers for 3?
Not really.
He dies at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. We defeat the Antichrist.
Oh,
and
no.
I don't know about you guys. I don't trust Roger Rabbit with his sleeping experiment.
Is that who that is?
It is. That is who that is. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't distrust him. I don't trust that the mom is just like sitting there watching. Sleep, motherfucker. JOG should call him Groundskeeper Willie. Oh wait, that's the remake. Never mind.
He's not going to try to play patty cake with the mom, is he?
Oh god.
Oh god.
So I love that she just is out here to ask, like, what is the theme of this movie? What are dreams?
Also, and then his response is, "We still don't know. Just body incredible hocus pocus." I'm just a doctor in the 80s saying that. How qualified is this guy?
I mean, he's also letting her smoke in a room of medical equipment.
Well, everybody smoked back then. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's 80s medical training.
Yeah. I want it to be like the scene in Inception where he's like, when I say don't think about elephants, what do you think about?
Oh no, I'm doing it.
And I love that the mom somehow like got twice as tan like overnight, apparently.
Is that because it's just a darkly lit scene, or does she look actually more tan.
No, because
Who's
even
to
when
say?
you get back to the house, when the movie decides now she's an alcoholic, um,
To be fair, that
You
is
can see
set
it
up
more.
pretty early. Yeah, it progresses throughout the film. And in an earlier scene, we see her pour a drink into her coffee. So it is set
That's
up.
kind of like a blink and you'll miss it part.
yeah, because
Yeah,
look,
that's
even
there.
here with the lights on, like, no, she's visibly tanner.
And like I said, seems like a nice lady. Again, it doesn't hurt the movie for me. I think she is the worst actress in this, but it's just it adds to the camp, it adds to the charm. Like this is a movie I could see somebody watching though saying, "Oh, it's dated, it's not scary." It's like, yeah, I get it. It just comes down to personal taste and sensibilities.
Oh,
Like I
do
still think
I
it's
have a
fun.
story for you when we're done?
Okay,
Okay.
put a
No,
pin in
no,
that.
you know what I'm about. You know what I'm going to talk about.
Not immediately, but we'll talk about it later. What do you guys think of the main theme for this? Because it's not one of the more like iconic slasher movie themes. Like most
Okay,
people
so
think of Halloween.
this is where I'm
Yeah.
going to sound a little dumb. I know that is the main theme. That is not what I think of when I think of the main theme. I think of that
What
stupid
do you?
jump rope song.
Yeah.
That's
I
fair.
mean, that's actually more
It's an important
iconic,
part
I
of the
think,
music.
That is more iconic than any of the actual score in this movie.
than the actual score.
Well,
I
and
do
to be
like.
fair,
I do actually like the score in this movie, though.
there is kind of a link between like that Freddy's coming from you for you nursery
From
rhyme
you?
and the
Oh
main
my
theme.
god, what is he doing?
Yeah, that's a
What?
part too.
Oh,
But no, there is some overlap with the with the beats of the music. Like if you're paying attention to it,
Yeah, no,
they
I'd
do
argue
weave it.
that is this movie's, like Halloween theme or
yeah.
It's arguably remembered more than like the score part of it. But this is the stuff. This is the drama in it that I think is very timeless, and you could very easily update and do stuff with, like this mom falling apart, trying to gaslight her child because she thinks she's protecting her. Again, I think the acting's kind of corny,
so
but subject matter wise,
if
the still.
if Heather Langenkamp was a better actress, right around now she would have been a perfect rogue.
Yeah,
You're just saying
she
that
looks
because
like
they're white. I
Eh,
did have that thought a second ago. Just
she
to
probably
be
would
fair.
have
Yeah,
been better than the one that we
rogue.
got. Like I like that actress in those early X-Men movies, but she's
Oh.
not great.
Yeah,
I'd argue she's a better actress than Heather Langenkamp. It's just a very different take.
I
on
think
the
she's
character.
probably about on par in the first X-Men movie as Heather Langenkamp is in this one.
Which is the only time she gets anything meaningful to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's fine in that. Yeah, the way just her inflections, just like Fred Krueger can't come after you now. Like she's got a little bit of Shatner in her. The way this song.
Stop competing with me, Nancy.
You're sick.
I want to see William Shatner voice Freddy Krueger.
That would be amazing.
That would be
This
amazing.
is God.
And she's gone. Gone.
Don't throw the hat away, Nancy. That's your evidence.
So I had the weirdest complaint in these movies when I was a kid. It's like he always loses the goddamn hat, and he looks lame without the hat. He needs to keep the hat on.
I mean, you're right. He does look lame without the hat.
It's just like in every movie where Jason has to lose the mask for some reason. It's like why? Like that's
That's usually at the end.
so is the hat. Just leave the mask on. Leave the hat on.
But at least with Jason, a lot of times when he's unmasked, except for in like Jason Takes Manhattan, he looks awesome without the mask.
Jason Takes Manhattan has one of the best Jason designs. I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you sure?
Okay.
The best is part 7 when he loses the mask.
Oh, I mean, that's just the best Jason design in general.
Yeah.
That's true. To reference the Red Letter Media commentary on this film, which is very entertaining, everyone should listen to it. Mike has a great bit here where he's like, I'm worried about this burger. I think he's gonna drop his hamburger into the pot. Why is he eating it here?
No, yeah, this is
It
like
gives me
stressful.
anxiety. Like, don't set your food on that. It's gonna fall.
No, I've never understood setting any like having anything and leaning over a bridge. Like, I'd be terrified to drop it.
Yeah, just don't drop it.
I mean, we're
Just
clearly on like a
just get
campus
good.
somewhere. My theory is that's just what they felt like was the most interesting location in that area to shoot that scene on, and they couldn't do it in
Yeah.
more of like a cafeteria area because then you'd have to hire 100 extras, and they didn't want to do that. So that's probably why they shot that on that bridge.
Draven G, which Jason is the slimy Jason? That's part 8.
That's
Yeah.
very slimy. Dude.
Okay, real quick, just this is related to tonight's commentary. Do you guys want to do the wheel between movies or after?
We can do it after.
Yeah, we'll do it after. Save it for the very end.
1428 Elm Street.
Yeah, because I think the plan is this is going to be one long epic live stream, and then you'll split these up into 2 videos and
Fuck,
post
I
them
forgot
later.
to record these separately. I'll just, oh well.
Oh no!
I just have to download it.
Well, I'm gonna have to take a break in the middle. I need to prepare. I need to prepare myself.
You two aren't allowed to break.
No.
Okay, so we have to talk about this. This is the most notable deleted scene of this movie is, and I kind of wish they left it in. I get why they cut it, but do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Is this with Nancy's sister?
Yes. Or brother.
Actually,
I don't remember if they
I
specified.
actually don't know about this scene.
So this is where we get the exposition about Freddy was a killer and all the parents banded together and murdered him because he got away with it, but they knew he was guilty. This was a much longer scene where the mom says, you used to have an older sibling. All those kids used to have older siblings who were murdered by Freddy, and making it a lot more personal. And I like that more specific connection. I kind of wish that that was kept in. I assume the reason why they cut it was maybe it's a bit of a stretch that every family would have a dead kid that they just not talk about or pretend didn't exist. Like, that works fine for Nancy. Like, that works fine for a protagonist because sometimes that's how families cope with trauma with losing a kid is, yeah, we just don't want photos. We don't want to talk about them. Like, that can happen. You don't think the whole neighborhood, because you think one of this other kids would be like, oh yeah, I had a older brother or older sister who died in an accident or something. So it's one of those things where if you start thinking about it, it gets kind of weird and breaks down. So I can kind of see why they cut it.
Yeah.
But I do like that it probably, but I do like that it gives Freddy a more personal connection to Nancy and to these parents, where it's not just like a Evil Dies Tonight community effort.
I mean, does he need more personal than you fuckers burned me alive?
No, but I meant with like Nancy. And
personal for Nancy.
Like, and I think it just adds to it that it's not just her parents got together and contributed to this, but that they also had a dead kid.
I've always loved the sins of the father aspect. I think it's fine just leaving it at that.
I forgot he had a Rush poster on this wall.
Part of this movie, like you described, is coming of age, and part of coming of age is dealing with the sins of your father or mother, or whoever.
Yeah. Well, with what you just described, I feel like the one change you could make is instead of she didn't know that she had an older sibling, it could have been like, oh, she knew that she had an older sibling, but yeah, thought he or she like died in an accident or something.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, if you're gonna do that, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Have it be the mom was killed. She lives with her dad. Easy as that.
But Freddy's a child murderer,
right? And I like.
So explain the ending.
Well,
I'd change the ending as well.
we see Freddy kill plenty of adults throughout the franchise, talking more about his backstory. But still, I like the idea that, like, Nancy's parents, losing a child and then
well, no, I don't mean killing when he was alive. I mean like in Freddy versus Jason, where the connection is that he killed her mom at some point. Because he's already out and running around as the Dream Demon.
Well, I
Have him
don't care, man.
have him at some point having had killed Nancy's mom, but nobody knows how, or what happened. So she lives with her dad, and then she finds out and finds that it's because of the sins of her parents. You can still keep that thematically. And
But I don't know. I think that would still be here, though. It's still Freddy punishing these kids for their parents killing him. And again, on paper, I like this drama. I like that she lives with her mom and her parents are divorced, and like I think that, at least on paper, the family drama works fine for
we're
me.
getting ready for the
That's what
best
we
kill
got.
in the movie, Noah.
Yeah,
Do you
objectively
guys
better than the first one.
do you guys wish that they got to keep it longer? Because
Yes.
because originally it's not just the geyser of blood. You also see a skeleton fly up and hit the roof.
It's amazing.
That would have been better. Yeah.
That
I
would have
think
made
that
this the
footage is
best
out there
kill in any
somewhere.
slasher movie.
I think
I
that
wonder if
footage
that's
is
in
out
the
there
unrated
somewhere.
cut.
I don't know, because again, I could be incorrect on this. I think that only exists in like shitty daily VHS footage, so I don't think they would have put that back in. It could be mistaken. Um, but yeah, I'm guessing the unrated cut's just like a few seconds longer, just a bit more blood. But yeah, Johnny Depp's death coming up, that scene was supposed to go on way longer, and the censors really made them cut it down to like just when the blood hits
Fuck
the
you,
roof. We cut pretty
censors.
quickly after that. Yep. Yeah, he was very unhappy about it. And I love how to the very end, Glenn is just the most clueless character, but he's so likable. I like that he's a good friend to Nancy. He obviously likes her, and that's why he's going along with it. But it's like he never really believes in the Freddy stuff.
Yeah. But it's realistic. It's like, how would you believe?
Okay, so it is not. It looks like it is about 8 seconds difference, but it is longer. Tina and Glenn's deaths are both longer.
Okay.
Mhm.
But I don't think even the longer cut has the part with the skeleton. This scene's really funny. He just grabs another coffee pot right from under the bed. The mom didn't smell that. It
Which
was on.
I drink coffee on a daily basis. I make my own coffee. No, that's not how that works. Yeah, no, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, I gotcha.
No, but the big thing I remember watching these as a kid is one of my favorite lines. Freddy's is actually from Part 6, where he's like, "Every street, every town has an Elm
That's when they
Street."
don't care anymore. What does that mean? Shut up, Freddy. You
No,
fraud.
I mean they acted like they cared, but like yeah, nobody involved with 6 gave a shit except England. He's still giving a great performance.
But and again, that's why in the original cut, though, that's why he's going after these kids specifically, because it's their parents who did this to him. Because they lost children. Some of their children were his victims.
Well, I mean, it's even a stretch in 3 because they're apparently the last of the Elm Street kids. What does
Yep.
that mean?
Yep. And then by part 4 and 5, or no, these are actually the last of the Elm Street kids.
No. To be fair, Patricia Arquette's character, what is her name?
I don't
Oh, I
remember.
can't remember. Yeah.
From 3, the Dream Warrior.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah, we know you're
No, to be fair, they established in those movies, I do remember this, that Freddy only starts going after them because she pulls them into her dreams. He reaches out to them through her. It's not because they're Elm Street kids.
Okay.
Fuck you, Robert. I know my continuity. Slightly. Remember in 4 when for like the first 10 minutes where they recast Patricia Arquette and it's downgrade.
Yeah, it's
Her
Tuesday night.
Her name's Kristen.
Okay.
How do you not know that? It's your favorite movie.
What, me or Robert?
Robert, we already know yours is Nightmare 2010.
I was gonna say we're not gonna go against the bit here.
I've lost track of the thread. No, I'm not gonna get too far into this, but I've thought about like if I rebooted this series, kind of how would I handle some of the sequels? What would I condense? What would I pick? No, that's later. I'll do that during the remake. But one change I would do is I think Kristen from 3 and then Alice 4 and 5. I would just combine those into one character and just call her Alice. That's one of the early changes I'd make if you got to Dream Warriors and doing some of that stuff.
I think there's an argument to be made because they do show that like Alice takes on personality traits from Kristen when the powers transfer over. They kind of already do that.
Exactly, because we recast Kristen and kill her and replace her with Kristen 2.0 or 3.0.
And it's funny when you think about it because Kristen / Alice are in more movies, but everybody thinks of Nancy as like his final girl.
Yeah. I think Kristen would have stuck around more in the zeitgeist if it was actually Patricia Arquette in part 4.
Yeah, I wish she'd come back. She's really good in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of our big, like, classic Freddy moments.
And Heather Langenkamp kept that prop, by the way. You know, we were talking about earlier how the house kind of, for some reason, sticks around. They don't repeat a lot of the gags. We never do that phone bit again. They never do the Glenn sucking down through the portal.
No, this series, the big one we repeat, and it's deliberate, is Tina's death in New Night. Yes. And that's a very deliberate choice. And then you get to the remake, which does a whole lot of repeating.
Well, that's a little different because it is a remake.
Yeah, but in the mainline series, I agree. They're always
and fun fact, Robert, because it's going to be a while before you get there. The babysitter that gets the Nancy treatment or the Tina treatment, she's in the pilot of Angel. And the first time I rewatched Angel after having seen the Nightmare movies was like, I've seen this girl somewhere. Who the hell is it?
Here it is.
Mama. Okay, so I want I love this kill. I want somebody to explain to me what's happening in the real world.
What we're seeing.
But he can't affect the real world.
Except when he does. Remember in part 4 when he finds the guy in the bed underwater?
Yeah, because that was one of my favorite Freddy one-liners. How's this for a wet dream?
That's when they repeat in the remake. But yeah, the mom is watching this happen.
It's because the mom's also sleeping.
Okay.
No, because we've established that they die in the real world. So like we saw Tina, she gets the scratches down her. How in the real world did a portal in the bed open up and suck Johnny Depp into it?
I don't know.
It's not a problem. It's funny.
It's okay.
Yeah, well, in the case of Tina's death, it's like, no, everything that's happening to her in the dream is happening to her in the real world. People in the real world just can't see Freddy. Yeah. But her spinning around the room and stuff, like, that's all literally happening. And in this, he literally turns into a geyser of blood. But yeah, I can't explain that. It's just observing it.
It's also weirdly brutal for that character.
Yeah, it happens so quick and it's so goofy. I don't know. It's great, but I'm not like, oh.
I mean, he was the better of the two male protagonists in this movie.
That's true. I'm also too desensitized by Terrifier movies to where with Glenn, I'm like, yeah, kind of easy. That was a relatively quick death.
Oh, I mean,
You don't know that.
That day, he turned into a fountain of blood pretty quick. And like I said, or what I was alluding to earlier is, Freddy's not fucking with Glenn. Like, he's not in his nightmares trying to drive him crazy. Like, he just kills him to fuck with Nancy and to keep everybody distracted with that. Like, he is, again, not saying you need an explanation, but like Nancy's clearly kind of his main target, who he's
No, I need an
fucking with
explanation.
and drawing out.
I demand.
Well, you get one in the
right
remake.
now.
well, I mean, was Glenn's parents also involved with killing Freddy?
They don't say.
I think you have to assume that, but they don't say.
I would assume so. So it's like he was probably on his list of people to kill anyway.
Mhm. Or he was just killing him just to fuck with Nancy. I guess you could interpret it.
Yeah, but it's like two birds with one stone, I guess.
For sure.
Because, like, why would Nancy matter specifically?
Because she just does. Don't question.
Because she's the protagonist.
What?
The protagonist.
Oh.
So now we're watching Home Alone.
Yay!
The better version.
Don't you love it?
Oh.
When you see like people criticize a movie and they're just like, it just turns into Home Alone at the end.
I don't know what I remember, and I still haven't seen this, but
Which, for this
the
movie is
Equalizer
funny.
movie.
Yeah. I'm not saying
I don't know if
that
anyone says that about this, but I've heard people say that about other.
No, I've heard that. But like with the Equalizer movie with Denzel Washington, I heard some people say, "Oh, the ending's silly. It's just Home Alone in a Home Depot," and I'm like, "That's fucking awesome." Like, you're selling me on it.
The thing I heard it for a lot was Halloween 2018, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. No, I think this stuff again. It's very. I think the climax of this movie is very silly, but again, that's not a problem. I think it's just fun. It's kind of when the movie stops being scary, but it's at least entertaining. But it's great for Nancy. Like it makes her stand out as a
Yeah.
final girl. I like that she gets into survival.
That's why
It's
she's
always
one of my
traps and
favorites.
Well, it also just be funny if people complain this was like Home Alone, considering this came out first.
Yeah, true.
So if anything, Home Alone is
It's
like
Nightmare on Elm Street.
yeah. I would pay to see Macaulay Culkin fight Freddy Krueger.
I should have made that movie, or The Predator.
Well, yeah,
Or
you know
both.
how he'd beat him is he'd be like, I'm not afraid anymore.
The Predator go.
Go home, Freddy. You're drunk.
I love all these bottles. This one has. Yoink.
Pulls out a comically large flask from her drawer. Drawer.
Yeah, who do you guys think? Which character is the bigger drunk? This mom or the lady in charge of the sorority house in Black Christmas?
Well, that's the problem. Is I've seen
Who
Black
does
Christmas
drink booze
once.
from a toilet? I should say.
Oh, See, this is the thing. I'm in desperate need of a rewatch of Black Christmas because I've seen it before, but it was one time in a voice chat where someone was talking the whole time, so I
Oh,
really don't remember anything about it.
the movie's great.
I
Yeah,
do
I
need
know.
to see it again. I watched it after that, but it's been a minute. It's on our wheel though.
Well, surely we'll save it for the Christmas season, though. If we spin on it, we won't do it next week.
It could happen. See,
Okay.
Figure it out.
We gotta review Christmas movies and during
well,
Christmas.
that's true. We were also talking about doing Evil Dead 2 next week, but I mean, we can postpone
Yeah, we can do whatever.
So I actually had an idea on that because Robert hasn't seen House yet. We should do Evil Dead 2 and House.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say we'll do that next Friday, and whatever we spin will be either on a Thursday or the next time we.
Okay. What is the hidden meaning of the dogs playing poker or whatever rug on the wall?
I'm pretty sure it's. I was just petting him.
No. I don't want to think about that movie right now.
I love the boiler room. I know it comes back, but I wish we did more with it with this atmosphere.
Well, if I got the remake for you,
I said I don't want to think about that now.
When are we gonna put the remake out on Steelbook? Like, I want something of this quality release.
and I mean, we'll get to it, but it is technically the highest grossing film in the franchise. Which pains me
Freddy versus Jason
by like $1 million.
Wow.
I think it technically made more.
To be fair, they marketed that extremely well because I remember I was really excited.
and Freddy vs. Jason,
not
I think,
indicative of the final product at all.
I think Freddy vs. Jason was a technically more profitable movie. I think we can give it that. Because I think that costs less.
And it's tricky with these remakes because I don't trust critical reception of slasher movies.
It still blows my mind that part of the reason that Friday the 13th remake didn't get a sequel was because it got bad reviews. What did you expect?
Well, you mentioned this earlier, and I'm not going to say what you mentioned because I'm sure you'll bring it up when we watch the remake. I'm starting to wonder if anybody involved with those movies ever actually watched the originals.
It's a good question.
Yep.
Noah, did you see what I posted in our group chat earlier?
I saw, yes.
Okay. I'll bring it up during the remake.
I can't wait for you to bring it up. No, the thing about Friday is funny, though. I didn't know that. Because obviously, a Friday the 13th movie is not going to get glowing reviews from critics.
And honestly, that kind of pisses me off now. Because I think that is a pretty decent movie. And I wanted a sequel.
It's not bad.
Also, and I don't know why it didn't make as much money as the Nightmare remake. And it probably was just marketing.
Didn't it?
No, I think if that movie crossed $100 million, that a sequel might have actually happened, but it fell short of 100 million. So you're like, just move on to the next one.
Well, if there was a movie that you're banking on critical reception for making sequels to, it would have to be the Nightmare movie,
which also was panned.
But just because those movies are seen more as like critical darlings compared to Friday.
Which this fucking movie made? God damn,
I always
maybe almost 120 million.
Yep. I always forget this scene when Nancy finds like these little trinkets from Freddy's victims. They're all covered in blood.
I would say this is one of the best viewings I've had of this movie.
That's a lot of fun. This
This
movie
is
just
a great
broke
movie.
And
It's a great
your
movie
heart
up
out, Sonny.
until the last few
funnily
minutes.
enough, the last time I watched this movie, I think it was the last time, was when the Discord that you joined a while ago, like I don't want to say Patreon Discord, but whatever that super secret Discord is. That was like the first movie night that we ever did with me and one other guy, and we watched this and the remake.
That's
Oh, really?
full circle.
Yeah, it was me and Brian. That was the first like watch party we ever did.
And it's all come full circle.
Then the very next one we did all four at the time Scream movies.
This part makes me laugh every time when Nancy says, "I'm crazy after all." It's like that quick. You don't see Freddy for 5 seconds, and you're like, "Oh, I am nuts."
No, what's funnier than that is the noise that he makes when he
Jump
jumps up.
A pretty good jump scare, not as good as the mirror jump scare when he jumps through the mirror and grabs her. That shot's amazing.
I mean, nothing will beat the jump scare at the end of the remake.
God. And again, this starts getting very silly. And I hate these cops. I hate these.
We're gonna get to my favorite shot in the movie here in a minute. This is why Freddy in the real world sucks. He can't do anything.
It's so funny watching him get beat up. Like, it's very cathartic for the audience, but it is funny.
He's gonna start fake swearing like Joe Pesci in Home Alone.
I really love how they light him in this.
Oh yeah, it looks really cool.
He would look threatening with that lighting if he wasn't like falling over all over the place.
Standing there all time.
And these freaking cops. And okay, so I guess the built-in defense of the scene is, as I guess we'll find out at the end of this movie, I guess we're still in a dream. This is all a dream, I guess. And like that sucks. Like, I don't like that.
I don't
if
know.
That
this is my favorite shot in the movie because Freddy gains like 80 pounds.
It's good stunt. It's good fire stunt. The good old days when we actually set people on fire. We need to get back to that.
Hey, you psychopath.
Pro setting people on fire, Robert Wilde.
I mean, this is a good one, but nothing will beat the Jason on fire in Part 7 stunt.
Jason died by water. Freddy died by fire. How can we
use that? No, but I respect the hell out of that stunt because it was at the time the longest burn stunt, and it's a burn victim. I don't know if you know about that, Noah. Kane Hodder's like 70% of his body is covered in burns because of a failed stunt. Wow.
From which movie?
70 might be a...
That might be an exaggeration. No, this is before he. So, because I've read his biography or his autobiography, he was doing like a report for a local news station and showing how stuntmen set themselves on fire, and it went wrong, and he almost died.
Oh, so not even on a movie set. Wow.
No, this is before he became a professional stuntman, and so when he did the fire stunt for Jason, that was the first one he'd done since burning himself. And it ended up being like the longest one at the time.
What a badass.
He also almost died at least 3 times making Friday 7. Because there's that other stunt where he falls backwards through the stairs.
Yeah.
And the back of his head hit like the last fake step. The step in front of that was a real step and could have fucking killed him if he missed his mark by an inch.
Okay. Like, what is happening here?
The mom's dying.
She's sinking into hell.
Oh my god, she's the crypt keeper. We should have seen it coming.
Yeah, this is actually a prequel to Tales from the Crypt.
I do love the effect though when it fades into like just the normal bed. Like I don't know what's happening, but it's a cool
This
effect.
can't be a dream because this actually happens. Wait, no. I guess that doesn't disprove it. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea is how Freddy gets back in the dream world is through the mom, and what just happened is he just killed the mom. And he's now back in the dream.
No, that was my point. Is because if this is a dream, then she had to have died in the real world. Because if you die in the dream, you die in the real world. But then at the end, she's alive.
Which is clearly a dream. But then in part 3, they do confirm that the mom is dead.
Subject.exe has crashed.
Brain fart.
And then again, this is when the movie, like, the scene is cool when she turns her back on Freddy. I actually think it's a good moment for Nancy. But now I'm confused, like, because this is when it's like, wait, so we are still dreaming?
This is
or did she just?
Great shot.
I like this effect. Yeah. Did she fall asleep standing up? Like, this is when the movie's lost me, and I'm not sure what's happening. But I do like the scene. And Freddy looks a little different here. Like, he looks a little bit more like a demon. And they're doing more of the deeper voice. No, you don't. But to explain why the ending is such a mess, it's because in the original script, it was just supposed to end with, I guess, Nancy wakes up and goes to school, and maybe the whole movie was a dream. And you know what? That's kind of lame. Admittedly,
I've never
Well,
heard
like,
what
not as
Wes's
satisfying.
original ending was. I just know this was the only compromise him and Bob Shea could come to, because Robert Shea wanted a sequel bait ending, and Wes was like, no, this
And
is
a big
one
final
and
scare.
done.
And I think Wes wanted a more optimistic ending. He didn't like Nancy being driven off, presumably, to
And
her
I
doom.
can respect both of those, but what they settled on is nonsense.
Well, what they settled on was putting like all 3 versions they shot into one. So there's one ending where it's just this, and Nancy drives off with her friends, and I guess the whole movie was a dream. Oh, well, that kind of sucks. The other one they shot is she gets in the car, and holy shit, Freddy's the driver, and then drives off with them screaming. And that's the first one they discarded, but they still kept like pieces of it. And then the compromise was, okay, we don't literally see Freddy, but we see like the hood of the car, like we see his stripes. And then I think the last
Freddy
one
is
they
the
added,
car.
Freddy is the car. And then the last one they added was the mom getting pulled through the door. So basically everything they shot, they just kind of mishmash together. And like, it's fun. I just don't know what's happening. And as we see, the mom turns into a blow-up doll and gets sucked through the window.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I was like, what the fuck?
It is memorable. I'll give it that. And I will say, as much as I love making fun of it, it doesn't ruin the movie for me.
No.
It's just unfortunate that the movie ends on the worst special effect. Like, our final shot is the worst special effect of the movie.
That's supposed to be like
but it does make me laugh.
A gut punch moment, like, oh shit.
And
But really, it just makes you laugh.
If there's one thing you can give Friday the 13th over this, is that zombie Jason jump scare is 10 times better.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and that's, I always say that this movie is a great movie with a shitty ending. And then Friday is a shitty movie with a great ending.
And I think... But I also think why this ending doesn't piss me off, I'm just confused, is because, we at least get part 3. Like, we get other good stuff after, so I'm kind of whatever. But, like, again, it doesn't ruin the movie for me. Like, I'm not mad about it. I just think, like on my first viewing, I was like, oh, that ending kind of sucked. But I can laugh at it now. It's not a big deal. But it's
a nightmare.
And it's nightmare. And then the remake will also end with the shitty special effects. With
Yay.
the mom getting killed. But oh no, did I show my hand too early?
Yeah.
Oh, do you
shut
not like the
fuck up.
remake?
Anyway, well, folks, that was the original coming in at a clean 1 hour 30.
Yeah.